Hello, everyone. Great to be with you. My name is Jeff Raymond. I'm joined by Lavanya. We're both from the product management team here at Arista. And we're going to try to connect the dots of the first two topics here, both Doug's basically problem statement. A very interesting question of why is it a higher risk to upgrade the network than the underlying vulnerabilities that might actually exist. I think that was one that really struck me as a pretty almost existential type of question to say, well, of course the vulnerability is the higher risk, but in practice it almost doesn't seem like we're treating it that way. But then combining it with Ken's point of staying on top of all these as the advisories continue to roll out or bugs in general, how do you actually stay on top of that? And what we're going to do is take a look in our product what we're trying to do to combine, to basically help improve and streamline some of these things. But I think it's fair to say that the remediation process is not easy. The networking industry hasn't made it easy to just solve these problems. We throw an advisory out, or especially using that as the kind of slice of the discussion we're talking about today, that means a lot of work on the network operator. It's not just a snap of the finger type of upgrade. And so let's talk about and break that down in terms of what's needed. Okay, so there's many different kind of steps or phases that are actually involved from a day-to-day operational perspective to handle some of these advisories. Are you aware? How do you maintain awareness and keep a pulse of these? Is there someone on your staff that's constantly looking for this? Do you check the website? Do you see it in the news? Do you actually subscribe to a vulnerability management service and continually monitor these? Is there someone in your security organization staying on top of this, or is it a network ops team? The second one, impact assessment. Well, does this matter to me? Is this going to be a big deal? Does it affect the majority of my estate? Is it a small subset? Is it in the core of my network? Is it some peripheral edge? How do I really kind of assess that impact that's unique to my environment, the role of the applications that are running over that network? The remediation plan. All right, now we understand it's out there. We have this kind of ticking time bomb. How do we, and we, there's a lot of times executive mandates to just go fix the problem, put it to bed. When is the fix ready? When is it going to be available? How many different variations are there? Many times, one CVE can be solved many different ways based on operating system, platform, vendor, and the list goes on. That burden all falls to the customer to handle that. How do you find a maintenance window to implement? Is there an impact by upgrading or applying this patch or this upgrade? How do you test it? How do you trust that this is going to work? So the remediation plan is all the pre-flight information. Now you're going to actually go and make the change. You have your run book. You want to take your snapshot. Maybe a new change control procedure needs to be built. Finding that maintenance window. We talk to customers all the time that the maintenance window is so kind of such a narrow time slice of time. That's actually what's preventing a lot of the upgrades. And then finally, after you complete that, what is the validation steps? And so, how do you both first confirm that all the services are back up and running, and then how do you provide any audit and reporting to the rest of the organization that it's been remediated? Wow, we broke it down. That's a lot of work. And if these CVEs are coming out on a regular basis, how does a team maintain this continuous development model? So this is where we think our products come in, and how can we streamline this process? From an Arista perspective, we're going to take you through a demo that focuses on CloudVision and EOS that Lavanya will show you that helps address all these different kind of features that are helping to streamline this process. Now, Arista, from a security advisory perspective, we publish on our website our security advisories. So far, since we first started shipping in 2008, we've had 45. Of those 45 security advisories in EOS, 2 have required an actual complete switch reboot. And actually 5 are because of a CVE that was Arista-generated code. As Doug talked, of course, there's many other CVEs that are because of the open source code we use in our software, Linux and so forth. As Doug talked about, the statement, so the software bill of materials is something that we own entirely as a vendor shipping this product. But as we think about the time it takes to address these remediations, and what we're going to focus on is the fact that we can offer a software patch for so many of these dramatically reduces the impact, and the fact that it's a single operating system across all this switching infrastructure dramatically reduces the number of special cases that you're handling. So with that, I'll turn it over to Lavanya, and we'll switch the slides real quick to the demo to take you through the product. Now, just to kind of set some context here, we're focusing on a very kind of narrow slice of our products. This is not the full product portfolio. We're going to show you CloudVision and the tools that CloudVision has here. And of course, we can talk later about the full overall portfolio that CloudVision offers from a modern analytics and telemetry system.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. So I wanted to start off by showing you what a security advisory looks like that we publish on our website. So you can see that for the EOS section, we provide hot fixes. I wanted to highlight that we do note that most of our patches, or all of our patches actually, are platform independent and hitless for the most part, which means you can go on a production system, install the patch, and not have any of your traffic forwarding or any of that affected. So if you subscribe to email notifications, RSS feeds, you get notified when we publish an advisory out. But beyond that, how do we integrate this into CloudVision, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. So every time we put an advisory out, like Ken said, every CVE is a bug. So we list a set of bugs here, saying which are the bugs that affect these CVEs. And when we put the advisory out, we update this in a file we call alert base. And this goes on our website. Now, CloudVision can talk to our website and download this alert base. And it does a quick assessment of your install base to see which of the products are affected by this bug based on software version or whatever information we provide in the alert base. So then CloudVision generates an event, and then you can get notified with this event. A common example here is we have integration with tools like Slack, and if you have an email notification, you can do that. So you can see that there's an event here saying CVE bug exposed, and it lists all the devices that are exposed to this vulnerability. Now, going back to the tool, let's take a look at how else we actually bring this to your attention. Now, we have a feature called Topology View, which is, takes and shows you your network deployment. And you can see in this example here, there's the cloud deployments with Cloud EOS. I have a data center with leaf-spine and a campus deployment as well. Now, while this is mostly used by customers to see, they use it as a canvas to see other network metrics and see how you can look at this from a network-wide perspective, like link utilization, VLAN segments, and so on. But we also use this to show critical information, like what events got generated on these devices. So you'll see some bugs here. So you can see the same CVE bugs that also apply here. But if you want a summary for your overall network, we also have a dashboard that you can go to. So we call this the compliance dashboard, and it tracks various aspects of compliance. One is configuration and software drift. So if you use CVP as the source for defining this, it'll catch any drifts in config and image. The other two aspects are bug exposure, which is we don't do this just for pcerts, but also for other software defects that we publish, so that you can get informed about what high severity defects affect your deployment and know what you need to do to mitigate that. So what I'm going to do here is see quickly which devices are affected by a CVE. Right. So, and if you remember from the advisory, there were 3 bugs we were tracking. All 3 of these linked to Security Advisory 41. It gives me all the details of what the advisory, of what the vulnerability is, which versions have the fix, and how many devices are affected. So here I see a set of 10 devices, and you can see that the devices are a mix of 2 of our Trident-based platforms, which are in the campus deployment, Cloud EOS instances here, which is the VEOS that you see, and I have 4 modulars as well, which are the spines in my data center. So you saw the notification piece. CloudVision did the assessment and told you how many devices are affected by that vulnerability. So let's go on to the next step of remediation. So what's the remediation plan here? Since they're all running the same version of software here, you can see that's the common thread, and that's why they're all affected by the vulnerability. What we can do from CloudVision is go and patch that image bundle, which means when I deploy an image from CloudVision, it tracks how many devices that's deployed on. So you can see that I have 421.1F, and so I click on it, and it tells me that it's applied on 10 devices, and it's the same set of 10 devices that was caught in the screen before. So what I'm going to do here is apply the security fix. So I have it downloaded here. So I'm going to say open, upload it to this image bundle, and I save it, and it immediately tells me you have this applied on 10 devices. Do you want to push this change out? So I'm going to say yes. So once I say yes, what it does is it creates tasks. So you will see here that for every device, it creates a task. And when I go and execute this task is actually when the patch gets rolled out. So to go and execute this task, I'm actually going to use the change control workflow. So change control is the workflow which you use to deploy any changes from CloudVision, be it a config change or an image upgrade or a patch install. You can use it for all of that. And what it actually allows you is to define a flow for the changes that you're going to roll out in your network. What goes first, what goes next? Do I execute them in series or parallel? So you can define the whole flow here. So first I'm going to give this a name. So let's call this patch rollout. And now first I'm going to patch my cloud instances. So I'll call this cloud AWS. And actions these can be the tasks that already got created, but we also give some built-in knobs here for image upgrade use cases for a hitless upgrade. Like Ken was talking about BGP maintenance mode. And so we have these built-in knobs that you can use when you're doing an image upgrade to make it hitless.
Basically, we're trying to model a runbook
Exactly.
or a procedure that you might have otherwise had manually, box by box, that you scripted out. We're trying to put that workflow into the tool, but looking at it network-wide.
So what I'm going to do here is first select all my cloud devices. So I say select all, and I apply it to the stage. I want them all to run at the same time, so I'm going to leave it at parallel, so it adds the task. And the next stage, I'm going to go and upgrade my campus devices. So I call the stage campus. I'll add some tasks here. So the device names were DO, so select all. And I add this to the campus stage. And lastly, I'm going to upgrade the spines. So I'll call this data center. And but before I do the spines, one of the things I want to do as part of that is collect a snapshot. Now, a snapshot can be a set of CLI commands that you want to capture as you roll these out, more of a before and after operation. So I'm going to say capture the patch verification command. It's a template I have, and it captures a bunch of CLI commands. So I do this for all of the spine devices.
Is there a way to integrate this with existing change management tools like a ServiceNow?
Absolutely, and we do have a working integration with ServiceNow.
Oh, cool, because I'm looking at this going like double the work to do a change control, change request.
Yeah.
API based for if you're not using one of those two?
Yes, yeah, you can drive this all through APIs as well, but we have formal integrations with ServiceNow and Remedy.
Can it represent me on a change advisory board?
No, we cannot be on the conference call for you.
So I added the tasks, and now lastly, I'm going to capture another snapshot again, and again on these devices, and I'll say add it to data center, add to the change control, and the workflow itself is pretty neat. It's got an easy drag and drop, so you can order the tasks the way you want it. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. All right, so now I have this staged. So now there's a review and approval process for every change control that you select, so that if you want to enforce a peer review or take a look at exactly what's different in the system and what changes you're pushing out, you can do that. So when I click on review and approve, it shows me that I'm adding this hotfix to all of the switches that I just selected. So I'm going to hit approve to this workflow, and now I'm going to execute the change control here.
Not a big red button when you hit execute?
All right, so while this is executing, right, and I wanted to showcase some of the things, you can look, you can build a quick dashboard here within any of these tasks. This shows you like the real-time streaming telemetry, so some status of agents that we have, but you can go and add other metrics that we allow you to monitor, right? So while this patch is loading, I'd like to see what if my routing entries change, if my BGP peers are still up. So you can quickly take a look at that and monitor this in real time while the patch is rolling out, right? So you have that neat capability there.
When I learned to do upgrades, the real-time monitoring was the up arrow. You know what I'm
arrow
talking about? That's how you figured out if it was still working.
Right.
We've come a little bit further than that.
Spamming shows
So that
CDP neighbor detail.
You're doing an upgrade and X number of devices fail, it kills the continual upgrades.
That's right. So stage 1 has to be successful for stage 2 to execute, and similarly, so it goes in that order. So it's perfect for those times when you want to stage a device first, see if that goes, use it as your guinea pig, and if it's successful, then you roll out the next step.
So is it doing any kind of operational check? So like we had the BGP peers, for example. Is it going to do a comparison before and after, before it will move on to the next step?
It captures the data along the way, so if you specify the command, we have some user-defined actions where you can actually evaluate and see, if it returns a true or something for the checks, and then you can move on to that based on, what the script returns.
Yeah, a classic one would be, I had 48 BGP peers, like you see the snapshot happening. Validate, do I have 48? I have 48 BGP peers. Upgrade, do I still have 48 BGP peers? If yes, go to the next one. If no, error out, alert, notify through a Slack channel, and write that back to the trouble ticket.
Yeah.
And to your point, like on participating in the patch management board and so on, a lot of these reports are designed to be print screen PDF and attach it so we can show the auditors and everybody else that things were done in a certain procedure that adhered to the corporate guidelines.
And so it can do those checks.
Yes, absolutely.
Now. Okay.
So another great way of actually monitoring the status while patches are rolling out or while you're doing an upgrade is looking at the data here to see or building a dashboard of all the metrics that we offer. So for example, we have a feature called Connectivity Monitor, which allows you to define IP addresses and it collects reachability metrics for these. So here I have one from my AWS to GCP, from my data center to AWS, and between 2 racks in my data center. So as it's rolling out, did the latency change? Was there any packet loss? And you can also see that you can build out these different tables, so you can keep an eye on your route count, again, BGP peers, and you can have this as your dashboard to monitor while you're rolling changes out to these devices. So the patch rollout is complete, so we can do a quick check here. You can see that the dashboard is now updated, and we don't have any devices that are affected by CVEs anymore. And all of this list is also, you can export it to a CSV, so if at any point you need it for an audit purpose, before and after, you can grab this data off this dashboard.
Satisfied, you can do a one-button rollback?
Absolutely, yeah, let me show that. Rollback change. So you can, for every change control that you execute, there's a rollback option. So what it does is it'll take all of those steps for rollback and create a new change control that you then review and approve and execute.
Lavanya, you showed a list of software bugs.
Right.
And how much do we charge for that bug scrub service on a per release basis for clients? Looking at you, Rob.
I'm just waiting for you're some kind of softball coming in there from the side there.
Doug, that's included in Cloud Vision. But I think the idea, and it very much goes to what one of Ken's principles of the product, is that we want you to be aware. We don't want you to have the attack case that says, oh yeah, you hit a known issue. I mean, great that you know the issue, but terrible that you hit it, right? Proactive notification is the idea, and this, by having basically our caveat list, our known bugs, known defects, in this same alert base from a machine readable perspective, we can continue to publish those every time a new release goes out. So you are basically doing an ongoing automated bug scrub that's specific to the versions and platforms that you're running in your network, and even features that you're running in your network. And that compliance dashboard is telling you that. So it's not just about the, what is out there in my estate, it's where are my exposures in that estate. So,
Yep.
You good? All right, thank you, Lavanya, great job. So if we could bring it back to the slide, just to kind of wrap up. Cue the slide. Okay, thank you. So the examples that Lavanya went through in terms of how do we streamline this is what, I'm not going to go through the bullets here, but this is what we're trying to show examples of how we're trying to help customers basically work through these issues. There's no such thing as defect-free software, and security advisories are going to be the norm. So let's basically put the tools together that help us handle them in a much more efficient way. A couple other points in the demo that might have been lost or glossed over. The real-time streaming that we get from all these EOS instances is very powerful, because now we're no longer waiting for some SNMP poll-based interval of did I find out what's going on. I'm literally getting a streaming update as diffs happen on all those switches, and I can see as the change is taking place what's going on, not just on one device, but on all the devices. CloudVision is built on this network-wide database concept. In addition, we store all that for historic purposes. The other point is that this was remediating issues wherever EOS lives. So this basically fixed a patch across our campus, our data center, our cloud. It could be other parts of your network as well. Again, all these challenges are grown exponentially as you think about the number of deployments that you have.